No Clark, no panic. That was the headline before the ball even tipped. On a night built for excuses, Indiana chose adjustments. And the player people tuned in to see on the other side? DeWanna Bonner, a name that usually means trouble in crunch time, walked into a gym that had already decided it would be loud, mean, and very interested in defense. The Fever didn't stumble into this win, they engineered it. Piece by piece, player by player, possession by possession. And the best part? It's a blueprint they can repeat. Here's why this mattered. When your primary gravity source sits, the math usually gets ugly. Defenses stop respecting the logo, they pack the elbows, and they live in your passing lanes like they pay rent there. If you don't have a plan, you don't have points. The easy narrative says, just survive and hope your bench doesn't combust. Indiana did something better. They found points by committee and built a defensive identity that made Bonner's team hesitate in spots they normally attack. You could feel it early, the crowd had juice, but what actually turned the game wasn't noise. It was discipline. There's always one play that tells the truth about a game. This one came on a scramble. It started with a hard stunt at the nail, turned into a swat at the rim, and somehow became a second effort when the rebound bounced back to the same shooter. Another denial. The building roared. You could see players on the bench leap like that block counted for 6. It wasn't just a highlight. It was a thesis. Indiana would not give first reads for free. Not at the elbow, not at the rim, not tonight. Defense lit the fuse. Spacing kept the fire burning. Without Clark's orbit stretching the floor to 30 feet, Indiana had to manufacture gravity. Enter Chloe Bibby. Corners aren't just geometry. On nights like this, they're leverage. Bibby's willingness to shoot instantly changes the map. Park her deep in the corner, run a quick exchange with a guard, threaten that slot relocation, and watch help defenders argue with their feet. Sink to the roller or fly to the shooter. That half beat of indecision is the opening for everything else. And then there's Sophie. Some nights she's the steady hand. This one, she was a flamethrower. The catch-and-shoot threes were loud, but the moment that snapped the game open was a 4-point play. A tiny earthquake in a quarter that needed one. If you've ever felt a building breathe, you know what I mean. The whistle hit, the shot fell, and everybody in the arena learned the same word at the same time. Momentum. Of course, space and shot-making don't matter without a heartbeat. Ari McDonald provided it. Some guards control tempo with a metronome. Ari uses a drum line. She pushed the ball before the defense set, rejected a screen the one time a defender leaned the wrong way, and stepped into pull-ups just fast enough to keep closeouts honest. That first half surge wasn't just points, it was oxygen. It forced Bonner's team to defend in transition, to talk through matchups while still backpedaling, to second-guess whether help could actually get there in time. That doubt is expensive. Indiana made them pay cash. All that space only matters if your anchor eats. Aaliyah Boston did more than that. She hunted. Early touches weren't clean, the rim was not friendly. But great bigs don't measure their night by the first quarter. They measure it by the last 5 minutes. By then, Boston's seals were deeper, her decisions were faster, and the defensive vocabulary of the other team had shrunk to a single sentence. We need help. Help came late. Then it came late again. Second chances turned into putbacks. Strong finishes through arms became N1s. The short roll reads, those quick hits to shooters relocating on the weak side, were the quiet killers. The fourth quarter felt less like a sequence and more like a takeover. You could hear it in the net. Here's the part I love. The win didn't belong to one name. It belonged to the room. Sydney Colson gave them stretches where the offense breathed. One smart pull-up in transition, 2 slippery entry angles, and a handful of possessions where she kept the dribble alive just long enough for the second side to materialize. Lexi Hull did what Lexi Hull does, fill space with effort, make deflections look inevitable, and turn a simple chest pass into a crisis. Kelsey Mitchell's rhythm came in pockets rather than paragraphs, but the shots she hit mattered. That's what committee basketball looks like. You don't need everyone at their peak at the same time. You need the right player peaking at the right moment. So how do you handle Bonner's team when she's the one who usually bends endgames to her will? You take away the first read. If she wants to rise over a contest in the mid-range, fine, but you don't allow those comfortable rhythm steps into the shot pocket. You show length late, not early. You send a second body when the gather starts, not when the dribble begins. And you make sure the weak side corner never becomes a practice gym. That's what Indiana did. They built a crowd at the elbows and then asked the other side, can you beat us with perfect skip-pass timing and cold hands? Some nights opponents can. This wasn't one. Let's talk about coaching and culture. Rotations weren't just numbers. They were answers to questions the game kept asking. Ride the hot hand? Yes, without letting the pace die. Get to the third side when the defense shrinks? Absolutely, because the third pass turns help into a jog. And the sideline energy matters. When your best shooter and your loudest defender are on the bench screaming out the same coverage, you've got something most teams can't buy in February. Belonging. That's culture. That wins one-possession games, and it also wins these, the ones that flip in the fourth when decision-making goes thin. Now, the comment section topic that always shows up. Are the Fever better without Caitlin Clark? No. That framing is catchy and wrong. The truth is better. They're better than people expected without her, which means they're scarier with her. Watch how the geometry shifts the second she steps across half court. Those drag screens in early offense, they turn into decision points at 30 feet. The empty corner actions you saw tonight, those become layup lines when a tagger is stapled to a shooter with Clark's logo gravity. Boston's seals go from tough to unfair. Mitchell's drives find clean runways. And the best part, minutes earned by McDonald, trust built with Bibby, comfort in Cunningham Hall as pressure valves, none of that evaporates. It compounds. There's a reason this can travel. Pace on makes and misses keeps defenses from living in the shell. Corner threes stretch the back line until the tags become late and the stunts become soft. Multiple effort defense means a single mistake doesn't become a layup, it becomes a scramble. Indiana is already prepared to win. The high-low touches for Boston turn into either deep catches or skip threes. And those quick hitters for Sophie, wide pin downs into flare exchanges, pistol actions that morph into re-screens, are the kind of sequences that punish teams for helping one pass away. If you're looking for a blueprint, that's it. Pace, corners, depth, discipline. Expect counters. Bonner's team will try them. They'll sit on the initial drag and switch it to kill the early three. They'll peel switch when McDonald probes and dare her to throw a one-handed dart through traffic. They'll hug corner shooters and dare the roll to beat length. Indiana's answers are already on tape. Ghost the screen and sprint to the corner, flow into a second ball screen with the floor empty. Stampede the closeout with a hard 45 cut, so help has to choose between a layup and a corner three. All of that works even better when Clark is the trigger because every micro mistake is a bucket and a new set inbound. Let's rewind to the hinge moments that separated this night from a shrug. The 4-point play cracked the lid on a quarter that was about to stall. Bibby's corner jumper erased a defensive mistake on the prior trip and told the bench, "Keep shooting, we like this math." McDonald's first half burst didn't just cut a deficit, it changed the temperature of the game. Colson's smart pull-up in transition made the other sideline take a breath they couldn't afford. Lexi's steal into a run-out reminded everyone that the line between dead possession and 2 points is one reach with conviction. And Boston's fourth quarter, well, that was the kind of chapter you circle when you're building the identity of a season. Call it revenge if you want. It felt more like recalibration. This wasn't about proving a point to DeWanna Bonner. It was about proving a point to themselves, that the team they're trying to become isn't theoretical. It exists right now, in the minutes when your first option is in street clothes, in the hustle plays that don't make the box score, in the decisions you make at full speed when the crowd is shaking the seats. The Fever didn't replace a superstar tonight. They built a platform for one. That matters more in June and August than any single highlight you can clip. Here's what's going to happen if they keep stacking games like this. Opponents will stop helping off the corners. That opens the middle for Boston. Opponents will try to body the guards higher and blow up the handoffs. That's when you slip the screen and hit the short roll. Opponents will try to turn it into a foul parade. That's when pace becomes a weapon. Run after makes, run after misses, run after whistles. There's a fatigue to defending a team that never lets you set your feet. Tonight, Indiana learned how to create that fatigue on demand. If you're an Indiana fan, take this with you. It's not just that they won, it's how they won, the hard way. The way that usually belongs to veteran groups who've already been in 3 playoff series together. They built a wall at the elbows, they aimed their closeouts with intention, they refused to collapse in the first quarter when the shots sat on the rim and laughed at them. And then, when it mattered, they trusted their spacing, they trusted their anchor, and they trusted their guards to draw the map one drive at a time. So no, they're not better without Caitlin Clark. That's lazy. They're better prepared for Caitlin Clark. They're building the kind of habits that turn a talented roster into a dangerous one. And when she steps back on the floor, the math changes again, in Indiana's favor. You're either doubling Boston and leaving a shooter open, or you're hugging Clark 30 feet from the rim and letting a big eat. Pick your poison. Indiana will season it for you. The league doesn't give out style points, but nights like this add something more valuable: belief. The game becomes simpler when you've already seen yourself do the hard things. Rotations tighten without panic. Shooters let it fly without hunting. Bigs catch deeper because the entry passes arrive on time. Coaches hold timeouts because they trust the lineup to solve the possession themselves. That's what you saw. That's why it matters. They didn't steal this one. They built it. And they built it in a way that lasts. The next time Dewana Bonner is across from them, there will be counters and noise and a different whistle and probably a new wrinkle or two. Good. Bring them. Indiana has answers now, and soon enough, they'll have their gravity source back. When that happens, ask yourself a simple question. If you're guarding this team, with this spacing, with this tempo, with this depth, who exactly are you helping off? Honestly? If you want the clipped highlights, they're already elsewhere. This is the part that matters. The blueprint is real. The Fever can win the ugly way, the sustainable way, the way that makes the next win more likely, not less. Add Clark back to that? You're not just talking about revenge anymore. You're talking about a path. And if you're still here, you already know, this wasn't luck. This was a plan, executed by a group that decided the offense wouldn't be one person wide. That's how you build something. That's how you keep it. That's how you turn a feel-good night into a season that makes noise when it matters.